Hey everybody, Chris here. So we've got some bullish signals for Dogecoin. We're going to talk about that in this video. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel. Hit that little notification bell too. You can be notified when my new videos come out as well as when I do live streams. And I know charts are looking a little bearish now, and I'll show you the current chart to show that. However, crypto doesn't always go up all the time, and it doesn't always go down all the time either. As the prices are going down, the bears come out, right? There's FUD, right? People get scared in the market. I get that. I get all that. But crypto does this up and down, right? It's not just one fall off a cliff. Well, we had little instances of that, but usually that bounced back. But that October 10th flash crash did put a lot of fear in the market, and the markets haven't come back yet. But I think they will, and I'll show you how. Let's get into it. Let me show you the charts in the news. I'll show you what I'm looking at. And we start here looking at the current Dogecoin chart, and Dogecoin is trading at 15.8. That's right, dipped a little bit below 16 cents here overnight, but starting to come back a bit. So we'll be watching that throughout the day, as well as during my next live stream, which will be Wednesday at 4 o'clock p.m. East Coast time in the United States. So check your clocks wherever you are in the world and join in. We have a good time. We try to anyway, even though the chart is bearish. There's no doubt it's bearish. I'm not going to be a perma-bull here, but this is what this chart shows. And this shows it very clearly. From April, that's right, that's just right here, right above me here. The middle of April, with all of the tariff fears, right, and the big pullback that there was in the market, dropping Dogecoin all the way down to 13 cents. And since then, throughout the summer and into the early fall, we were tracking, right? We were tracking higher lows and higher highs. And we were on our way in October to probably see the next higher high. That was going to be October, right? Even Bitcoin did hit a new all-time high. Dogecoin was on its way, because Dogecoin usually follows Bitcoin on those moves until October 10th. And there's no doubt, and this chart shows it perfectly, what happened on October 10th. Thank you, CZ. Thank you, Binance, for ruining our bull run, right? Ruining October. I blame you directly, trying to take out Hyperliquid, trying to, just dumping the market. That's what that was. Now, we recovered from that 9.5 cent wick, and on some exchanges, it wasn't quite 9.5, depended on the exchange and how much liquidity it had. There were other cryptos that dumped much harder, like Atom, right, like almost to zero, because they got through all of the liquidity they had, and then it was just a free fall down. Doge had a little more. Bitcoin didn't drop as much because there's even more liquidity on exchanges for Bitcoin. We talked about that extensively last month and what that was all about. If you don't understand what October 10th was about, I invite you to go look at my previous videos on the 11th and 12th, where I got into all the details and looked at all the data on what was happening there. Since then, we haven't gone back down to 9.5, right? Doge has recovered back up, and we were back up to 18 and even over 20 to 21 cents here, trying to make a move, but there was still so much negativity from that pullback that since then, instead, we've been seeing lower highs and lower lows. So that is the trend right now in the market. However, there's good news coming, and there are signals that we could be more bullish. Of course, right, the leverage traders, this is what moves the market right now. And overnight, we did see on the Bitcoin heat map here, the market makers dropped the price last night and early this morning to take out more new leverage trades. Millions and millions, tens of millions, over $100 million in long leverage trades. So the trend yesterday was taking out shorts, and they even had these new shorts here, right? Just immediately taking out these new shorts, millions of dollars on the price coming up. And we probably would have kept going up, except all of these guys, right? All these degens, long leverage trades, 10x, 20x, whatever the leverage was. And eventually, they brought the price back down to take out all of that. So that is what is moving the markets right now. Crypto Rover posts this, right? This looks dangerous for Bitcoin.
What the hell does that mean? Right? And he gets like 50,000 views on a stupid chart like this. It's like, this looks dangerous for Bitcoin. Well, look at this, right? Look at the pullback that we had, again, from late December, early January to April, right? We had that big pullback, fear of tariffs, right? That's where Doge hit 13 cents. Well, Bitcoin dropped down to like $76,000 there. And then what did it do? It rallied. It turned around and rallied and came up. Doesn't this pullback look very similar to this? I mean, Bitcoin's just not going to keep going down. That's just not how trades work, right? There's going to be a relief rally. Is it going to continue and start coming down, right? Bear market, or is it going to rally more like we had late spring, early fall, or early summer to recover back up and hit new all-time highs? That could still work, but we'll see about Dogecoin itself and what Dogecoin looks like. Trader Allen looks at Bitcoin and says, look, this is a healthy pullback. Now, is it healthy? A lot of us are like in fear, right? But it's not as bad as the tariff pullback, which was almost 32%. And then we had the pullback back in the summer of 2024, which was 33%. So far this is less of a pullback than the previous two, and Bitcoin recovered each time. Crypto Rover also says, hey, Jim Cramer says we are not oversold. Whoa, that means it's going to go down more. Well, Reverse Cramer will say, see ya, we're going higher. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate that. The next FOMC rate decision is looking like a coin flip. It's almost 50-50 now, whether we get a rate cut or not. So it is unknown. Now, we do have jobs data coming out in the United States on Thursday, so watch for that. There'll be a little market volatility happening there. But if the jobs data is not good, that will bode well for a December Fed rate cut. So we'll keep an eye on that. Ash Crypto says, look, ETH versus Bitcoin. We keep looking at the ETH versus Bitcoin chart. And the reason we do this is we think an ETH cycle would spur an alt season. Now we're already in like the middle of November, and there's been no alt season, right? And there's been no real ETH run. We've had a few smaller ETH moves that have happened, right? We had a few ETH moves that happened. However, they do tend to tail back. ETH can't hold the gains versus Bitcoin. But Ash says ETH Bitcoin just flashed 3 bullish signals. The bull flag forming on the daily chart. So big bull flag. Well, it's a downtrend, really, right? Lower highs, lower lows. People call it a bull flag, but how long do you keep extending that down until it's no longer a bull flag? I mean, you could call this on the Doge chart a big bull flag, right? You could say that's a bull flag right there that Dogecoin is right in, right? So there's a bull flag, right? Bull flag. All right. RSI breakout from a 3-month downtrend. So yeah, a little breakout on the RSI there. We got that. MACD just printed a bullish cross. Typically, we do see that as well. We get the crossover, and typically it moves back up. ETH versus Bitcoin. Signal for alts. We're waiting for that liquidity rush to come in, though, because right now there's no liquidity. There's no, I mean, some others are talking about the stablecoin dominance, right? USDT dominance, right? How much money there is there. And that's all sitting on the sides. Is that going to move into the market, into the crypto market, and actually start buying crypto? Are they waiting for a signal to start doing that? Many bearish theses out there are like, we're already starting the bear market. Don't even think about buying for another year, like October, November 2026. So that's out there, right? If it is indeed a bear market, I am not convinced yet. I'm waiting for sort of a 1 to 2 week period in order to confirm the bearish thesis before I'm saying it's a bear market. For Dogecoin, Ali points out that, look, Dogecoin's supply on exchanges just turned positive. This shift has marked sharp rebounds before. In other words, the heavy selling of Doge, fear in the markets, right? Now there's a big block of coins sitting on exchanges, just waiting for you to buy them. And typically when that happens, right, and it turns green, the green continues and the price of Doge goes up. The green continues and the price of Doge goes up. The green continues and the price of Doge goes up. We are now having that signal right now with a low Doge price. Look at all the selling. Look at all the selling right there, right? Following October 10th. Fear in the market, price goes down, but price does not always just keep going down. It does turn around. Trader Allen says, look, we could have a beautiful repeat of past moves. Now he keeps going back to November 2024, which is the Trump election, Elon Musk, Doge, Department of Government Efficiency, all of that excitement. But he is looking at the current downtrend, right? Lower highs, lower lows after the October 10th flash crash. And it's a similar setup to what we've seen before, back in late summer 2024. Could this start turning around and lead to a pump? Fear and greed index right now is at 28. So we're in fear. We were in extreme fear. So that has moved up. As Dogecoin got over 16 cents yesterday, we were like, okay, this is a good move. Down a little bit more, probably from, it was probably up a little higher and pulled back just a bit as Doge just dropped a little bit below 16 cents, but it's an upward move. And we can talk about these descending broadening wedges. Many times we will see after it hits sort of the upward or the downward sloping resistance line, right? It'll make one last tap, move down, and then break out above it. And we're going to be watching that. We will be watching that. As Daryl says here, right? Beautiful setup. Doge loves these descending broadening wedges. Historically, a strong bullish reversal pattern. If we break that upper trend line with volume, could get real. Dogecoin always wakes up when the market least expects it. That is the beauty of Doge. Doge can do this. So we got Alan, we've got Daryl, right? Collaborating almost here on this chart. They are in agreement. So what's coming up for Dogecoin? Well, Grayscale is poised to debut a Dogecoin ETF. We think that is going to start trading on Monday. That's right, Dogecoin ETF. Now, we do have the current one, the Rex Osprey one, but there wasn't a huge amount of excitement behind it, mostly because Rex Osprey is like B-level, right? That's a B-level fund manager. But Grayscale, that's big time. That's big time here with Grayscale. So we're waiting for this. We also have Bitwise and 21 shares, not quite sure. Now that the SEC is back, right? Government shutdown ended. They're getting through all of their emails, right? And all of the work that they need to do to catch up, to get these things to start trading. And so it's looking like that's going to be Monday for Grayscale. I'll continue with updates as we go along. And then we've got the X money. Is X money going to launch? Well, I just happened to take a look at the X money account itself, right, on X. And it says, for all your money moves powered by X, and it still says launching in 2025, right there, launching in 2025. I mean, that's what Elon said, and Linda Yaccarino, back in January when she was the CEO of X, she said 2025. That was in her slide deck, right? They were going to launch it. We know they're doing beta testing. We know Elon just recently said soon, right? Launching soon. And the X account itself says launching in 2025. And I know Dogecoin is not going to be embedded into X money or X payments when it launches. I know that. I've been saying that for a year. And a lot of people are going to be upset, oh, there's no Dogecoin, or Dogecoin sucks. And I'm just like, I've been telling you, it's not going to be there, but the price will most likely still pump with all of the hype around X money and the possibility that Dogecoin could be integrated at some time in the future. That's how Dogecoin trades. If you don't understand that, you don't understand Doge. Dogecoin goes on big swings. Right now it is in a downtrend. That is true. But we saw October 2022, in the middle of the bear market, the last big bear market, Dogecoin doubled in price, more than doubled in price, just when Elon bought Twitter, which had nothing specifically to do with Doge other than, well, maybe Doge will be on Twitter, right? This is the same kind of thing. I'm very bullish about it. The Doge OS team is very bullish about the supper cycle, right? Supper cycle. I love it. It's like, are we going to have a super cycle or an extended cycle? There's still a lot of theories out there about the M2 money supply, the business cycle, like quantitative easing, right? Starting in early 2026, right? Fed is going to end quantitative tightening on December 1st. Chair Powell said that, with going into easing most likely a couple months after that, which would be January, February timeframe. Like, all of that is setting up for something good in the markets, even though 2026 is supposed to be the bear market year. We may not be in the true crypto 4-year cycle anymore. Things are different, right? And we already saw that, right? October is red, right? Moonvember is red. That's where we are right now. But we can have a little fun with Dogecoin. And we're also still waiting to see when Doge OS actually launches. It's doing its own beta testing. And we're waiting. We don't have a real schedule on that yet, but that is going to be exciting to see a lot of utility being built on an app layer on the Dogecoin blockchain. That's going to be very exciting. So we're waiting for that. Overall, yes, bearish, I get it, but things don't always go down. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think about these signals? Bullish for Dogecoin? Let me know. Give the video a like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I appreciate the support. We'll see you next time.